Good evening. It's July 15th, 2020. I have to read a open statement in. The open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom teleconference consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. While still ensuring public access, the order suspends the requirement to the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. You can find the order posted on the town's website. Regardless of our inability to meet in person, it is our intent to ensure continued transparency and the ability of the public to at least view the actions of the Commission. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you and that you take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. It's the business stuff here. First thing up, we have a new RDA for 234 Manchaga Road, and I've got to read that one in. And this was for in the Milby Sutton Chronicle, June 23rd, 2020. The Sutton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing publicized in accordance with the provisions of GL Chapter 131, Section 40 on Wednesday, July 15th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. at the Sutton Town Hall, 4 Oxford Road, Sutton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to review a notice of intent submitted by Alyssa McGovern, Sutton, Mass. The project consists of finishing the walkway to the stone patio and removal of pine tree at 234 Manchaga Road, Sutton, Mass. This will be a virtual meeting in accordance with orders by the governor during the current state of emergency. There will be no in-person attendance by the public. Persons may attend and participate in the hearing by using the online Zoom application at https://zoom.us/join or by phone 1-929-205-6099, meeting ID 812-3464-4571, and the password is 230903. You may also provide input by emailing it to wbean@town.sutton.ma.us or mailing it to Conservation 4 Oxford Road, Sutton, Mass. 01590. An electronic file of this application materials can be viewed on the town's website at www.sutton.ma.org/pages/May/20th meeting materials, and a copy of the same may all be requested via email to w.bean@town.sutton.ma.us or by phone at 508-865-8728, and this was published on June 18th, 2020. All right, so we have 234. Do we have anyone here representing 234?
Bill, Mike McGovern, I just want to recuse myself as a member. This is my personal property that I own with my wife, Alyssa. So I'll be here to answer any questions, but not as a commissioner. So I recuse myself as being on the board.
Thank you, Mike. And in this case, James, our alternate, will step in his place to vote. Do we have anyone here to speak on behalf of 234?
I just need to let you know that I'm sorry I did a typo on that. This is a request for determination of intent. Just to correct that.
Okay, thank you.
So Mike McGovern, owner at the property. I'm here to give a quick explanation. I had a full order of conditions on this property, and I had let the expire. So I still had two things to finish: take down this tree and finish the walkway. The tree, I had done mitigation of blueberry bushes, which has been growing for 4 years now, and they're hardy. And then in addition to that, I left 2 birch trees on the shore that were scheduled to come down. So for the tree that I'm asking for, there's also 1 oak tree behind it that's now died. So I guess the blueberries would replace the pine tree, which are done already. And then there's 2 big birch trees that are along the shoreline that would replace the oak. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Mike. Brandon, do you have any comments on this one?
Excuse me, I agree with Mike. He did leave extra trees and did plant bushes. It's totally up to the commission, but I'd say that with the trees that he left that he didn't have to, that he's already, made up for the tree that he wants to cut down. If I remember right, Mike, wasn't that tree in bad shape to begin with?
Yes, it was. There was one tree that I had the letter from the arborist that's on file. And then the second oak tree was a victim to the gypsy moss.
Yeah.
And they're right side by side. And if it left a void, I could plant the tree in there. I'm not looking to have a bigger hole to the lake. One's dead and the other one's on its way to being dead. So it's just simply just cleaning up the old water.
And on the walkway, what materials are going to be made out of? It looks like is it going to be continued to be stamped concrete?
Yes, I'd like to do the stamped concrete instead of the stones.
Okay, so the stones were more, the stone walkway, what was in the original order that's now expired, but he has a certificate of compliance for. So instead of stones, it's going to be stamped concrete, which is not as pervious as just stone steps. So Mike, what's your thoughts on the design here for infiltration, making sure that no runoff gets into the lake?
The walk probably falls short 35 to 40 feet of the edge of the water. There's a heavy field that's been well established now after the cutting of the trees and all the work that took place. So it's extremely stable and lots of heavy, thick brush that will definitely take care of any runoff from the side of the sidewalk.
Okay, well, those were my questions. I leave the rest to the commission.
Thank you, Brandon. Andy, any comments on this one?
No comment.
Zach, any comments?
No comment. Do we want me to pull the picture up?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to show it if you've got it. And while you're doing that, James, any comments, questions on this one?
No comments.
I believe this is the correct one.
I think that there's a picture that shows it even better.
All right,
Photograph.
one moment. I just got out of the screen share for 1 second while I try and find the picture.
Everything should be under the meeting materials for the 15th.
Yeah, okay. I think I have it right here.
Hey guys, if I can interrupt, George Karitzi, do you guys know him?
I do
George,
not.
what's the last name?
Karitzi?
This is Bilal Jabber. That's my lawyer. He's also representing me.
Okay, so we'll
Okay. I'll let him, he's letting him in.
I just let him in. Okay, thank you.
There we go.
This is the 234 Manchog Road, the picture.
Yeah, you can see where the stamped concrete ends and it's just gravel. So Mike is going to be continuing the walkway all the way down to the little boathouse and the dock.
Looks good to me.
Okay.
So this is an RDA, so just need a motion on this either way, and a motion to close the public hearing as well.
Andrew DeWolf makes a motion to close the public hearing.
James Marin will second that.
Thanks. So Andy DeWolf made the motion to close the public hearing. James Marin seconded it. Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
James, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote? I saw an eye mouth. You were silent. Give a thumbs up, Zach. Yes. Okay, that's an aye, and I, Bill Wentz, vote aye.
Sorry, I'm still trying to organize the pictures.
You're doing fine. And do we have a motion there as well, Andy?
Yep, make a motion to issue a negative determination.
James Marin will second that.
Andy made a motion to issue a negative determination. James second. Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
James, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote? Aye, and I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. Thank you
Aye.
very much. Thanks for the presentation, Mike. Wanda, 82 8 Lots Road, this is a new public hearing on this one, so it has to be read in, is that right?
Yes.
Oh.
It should be in with the material. Meeting material, look under public hearing, number 2.
You're muted, Bill.
Thank you. I actually held the space bar. That didn't work when I was reading it. Okay, let me get back to this here. Need 2 screens. Sutton Conservation will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 at 6:40 p.m. at the Sutton Town Hall, 4 Oxford Road, Sutton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to review a notice of intent submitted to the Conservation Commission by Tamar Jabbar, Sutton, Mass. The project consists of reconfiguring an existing common driveway at 41 West Mulberry Road to access on 82 8 Lots Road, Sutton, Mass. This notice is publicized in accordance with the provisions of General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, commonly known as the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This will be a virtual meeting in accordance with orders issued by the governor during this current state of emergency. There will be no in-person attendance by the public persons. Persons may attend and participate in the hearing by using the online Zoom application at https://zoom.us/join or via phone at 1-929-205-6099, meeting ID 812-3464-4571, password 230903. You may also provide input by emailing it to w.bean@town.sutton.ma.us or mailing it to Conservation, 4 Oxford Road, Sutton, Mass. 01590. An electronic file of this application materials may be viewed on the town's website at www.suttonma.org/conservation/pages/May 20th meeting materials, and a copy of the same may be requested via email to wbean@town.sutton.ma.us or by phone 508-865-8728, and this was published on June 11th, 2020. Yeah, right. Do we have anyone here for 82 and 41 tonight?
Mr. Chair, this is George Carizzi. My image is no longer showing. I don't know why, but George Carizzi, I'm an attorney. I'm in West Boylston. I represent Bilal Jaber. Also, Kyle Hulkran from Graves Engineering is here. Art Allen from Ecotech filed the notice of intent for us. He had a conflict and couldn't make it, but he's asked me and Mr. Jaber and Mr. Hulkran to present on the applicant's behalf.
Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, we see you now.
There you go. There you go. Sorry about that.
No problem at all. Take it away, guys.
So let me just first introduce the property. I don't know if the commission's had an opportunity to visit the property after the notice of intent was filed. As I said, Art Allen from Ecotech filed the notice of intent. This is an application to access Mr. Jaber's property across a existing common driveway that currently services his father and his sister's property on West Millbury Road in Sutton. The access, he has a lot which has been granted special permit for the retreat lot under the Sutton zoning bylaws, and he hopes to access that via a common drive, which also the planning board's granted a special permit for the common drive access. That's just by way of letting the board know what the where we're coming from for this application. I don't know if the commission will remember, we were here last year in August telling, just as a heads up, letting the commission know that we were hoping to do that. Since then, we've designed out a access driveway off the common driveway Kyle, as I said, Kyle Halkran from Graves Engineering, he's here. He'll be able to talk about the specifics on the engineering and what the driveway would look like. I know that it's been submitted to DEP also. I understand from Art that there were no comments based on the submission. And we're looking just to access that. There is a little unique component to this property. The two West Millbury Road properties are currently subject to restrictions that were imposed quite a while ago. They were foreclosed off before the Jabers bought the property, and then the Jabers reinstalled those restrictions over the back portion of their properties because a portion of their property was at that time atlased as endangered species lands. There were 3 species that were on the natural heritage list. 2 of those species have been delisted, and I am advised now that the property itself is no longer on the atlas, but the restrictions are still there. So we would need town's commission, Conservation Commission is the reviewing authority for that. Would be hoping to amend with the notice of intent. We'd also be looking to amend the restrictions to allow the driveway to cross over the area that we've shown on our plans. And there are several options that are available to the commission if you're interested. One is a straight amendment that would allow this driveway. We'd have to still go to Natural Heritage and ask them, but given the fact that the property is no longer atlased as endangered species, Art Allen indicates to us that he doesn't think that Natural Heritage would have an issue with that. The other thing we could do is terminate the restrictions since it's no longer endangered species land. The original impetus for the restrictions, the genesis of them, seems no longer to be present, and we could terminate. Or alternatively, if the commission's interested, Mr. Jaber has several acres of backland that's also closer to the wetlands, and we can enlarge the area of the restrictions, which would, right now, the restrictions end at the property line. Would be able to extend and increase the restrictions. So basically swapping out this driveway area for a significantly larger restricted area if the commission so desires that. So that's where we're here tonight. I'd let Kyle answer any questions relative to the design because he's the guy who's responsible for that. And if the commission has any questions about where we are legally and how we got here, I'm happy to help out.
Thank you for the overview. Brandon, I'm going to direct this one to you because it's...
And right before Brendan, Bill, I'm going to pull up the plan right now.
Okay. Thank you.
The 82-8 Lots Road, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so while Zach's pulling that up, I think that the biggest issue here is that deed restriction and that it's not that big of an issue, at least not to me. I did my own research on the endangered species habitat, and it's absolutely true that 5 years ago, this property and a lot of the adjacent area was mapped as being an endangered species habitat, and that is all now gone. It's all been lifted. There's no endangered species habitat left, and although I didn't know what the 3 species were, Natural Heritage keeps that information pretty tight to the chest. I have no reason to disbelieve Attorney Kiritsi about the two species being delisted and another one now doesn't really matter because it's gone. So the only question I have is to George is this mostly Natural Heritage's call? Does the Concom have any input on the deed restriction being lifted?
The Concom does.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, it's unfortunate. It was, we had written it up, and I had thought that the lion's share of first of all, lion's share of enforcement is with the town. It's a Concom issue. Unfortunately, in the way that the restriction was written, and we basically, we recycled the earlier one that had been wiped out with the foreclosure. the ultimate decision is also with Natural Heritage. They can do it. They can do it on their own without Concom involvement. We wouldn't want to do that because there's no doubt that Concom was very they were very much a part of the original restrictions. So we raising it with you. We're giving you guys, first bite of it, seeing what you folks would want in that area. But just looking at the atlas and looking at the project, it seems as though what was once a major concern is no longer present there. And Art Allen believes that Natural Heritage wouldn't have a problem with either a termination or certainly allowing this driveway to go where it's being requested.
Okay, well, commissioners, those are the facts. I leave the rest for you to decide. Okay, I had been emailing with Art Allen last week, and some of my questions, they were technical questions, probably something that Mr. Hultgren could respond to tonight. One thing I noticed was that the erosion control detail wasn't the Sutton Concom erosion control detail, which is a 12-inch diameter wattles, 100% biodegradable. So, Art said that he'd forward that to Carl, and that's an easy fix. Any issues with that, Carl?
No. Thanks, Brandon. Carl Hultgren, Quinn Engineering, just so wanted to correct that, not Graves Engineering, Quinn Engineering. Yeah, that's not an issue at all.
Okay. Another question I had, the driveway is going to go through the buffer zone of that A series. Is it going to be paved? Is it going to be gravel? And the concern here is that because it's in the buffer zone, which is also a resource area under the Sutton bylaw, is the Concom wants any surface runoff, stormwater runoff, to get infiltrated before it reaches the wetland. So I wanted to know, do you have any ideas about making sure, or are there any other design specifications that would ensure that any runoff would definitely infiltrate before it reached the wetland?
Sure. So what we're trying to do with the driveway, and you're looking at it right here, sort of in the middle of the screen is where our driveway goes through that existing restricted area, right where the cursor is, and the red lines represent the buffer zone. So what we're trying to do is minimize clearing in that area and keep the driveway width and grading width to a minimum. So along the southern side of that driveway, we could propose like a grassed swale to collect runoff from the driveway and then convey it in the swale, give it a chance to infiltrate, give it a chance to remove any sediment that might be on the driveway before it discharges at some point.
I got an idea, and tell me if I'm crazy, Carl.
Yep.
What if the driveway was just pitched slightly to the north and away from the wetland? Then that might not even be an issue.
That would work for a good portion of the driveway where it connects up with the common driveway, with the existing common driveway. We'd probably have to install some sort of culvert under the driveway to make sure that the water didn't get trapped between where our new driveway branches off, but that's doable as well, yeah.
So what's the easier alternative?
I think the water is going to get there either way, to be honest with you. At least if it's flowing towards the existing common driveway. When you're flowing towards the west, southwest, that would go towards the backland of the property. So I would say the better of the two options might be to pitch it away, but eventually
I'll leave that to you. The whole idea is to make sure that the water gets infiltrated.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and the other thing too is that whenever there's work done in the buffer zone / AWRA, there's always a question of how many trees, and specifically the ones that are greater than 5-inch in diameter, are coming down, because the commission needs to be able to they use it as a way to quantify loss of wildlife habitat. You have any idea about like how many trees are going to have to come down that are a significant size?
I don't have any specific numbers, but we thought about that as well. So the idea again is just to minimize the amount of clearing in that area. And then if we were to, for example, take a tree that's 5 inches, to plant it somewhere, basically replicate it in the buffer zone, I'm not sure we have the space, because what we're trying to do is just minimize the clearing width so we can grade, we can have a driveway. And if we go to put a tree in that cleared area, I think it'd be basically right next to the driveway.
Well, the cleared area where the house is going to go is going to be outside of jurisdiction, which is something that the commission doesn't like, because then you could cut it down and then they wouldn't have any say over it.
Exactly.
But along the driveway, yeah, it would be kind of tight anyway. So
Yep.
I don't know. Usually what the commission does when there's no room to mitigate, one of the options is a deed restriction. But I don't know how many trees are coming down and what the commission's threshold tolerance will that be. I'll let them discuss that. All right, so next question is, I see that you have erosion control, silt fence wattles along the perimeter where the house and the septic system and well and lawn and all that is gonna go, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're gonna be cutting down trees, and usually, to clear the area for the house, usually it's not a wise idea to put up silt fence, because the trees and branches tend to fall down on the silt fence and ruin it, and it just ends up being a very frustrating exercise. So my recommendation is to make sure that 100-foot mark where the erosion controls are going to go is clearly marked by the surveyor ahead of time, so that the tree guys know where to stop. And then once the trees are gone and removed, then the erosion controls can go up. What do you think of that?
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Okay, and we usually, we'll do the walk at the pre-construction meeting, which is going to be a condition in the special conditions under the bylaw anyway. So what I like to see is I'd like to see the area marked before the in preparation for the pre-construction meeting.
Got it.
All right. And the last thing, but not least, I remember reviewing and permitting the two houses back like 5 years ago or so. I was looking it up, and it doesn't look like a certificate of compliance was applied for either house. And it would be nice to get those in.
Okay.
Generally don't like to let these things linger for too long. It's already been probably about 3.5, 4 years since construction's been done.
Yep.
And
Yeah, we
the
can
permits.
submit
What's that?
We can submit requests for those.
Okay. I don't think commissions, obviously this is the commission's call as to whether or not an as-built is required. But if you have an as-built for the septic systems to begin with, those are always useful.
Sure, and I would assume the Board of Health has those on file, so I can look into that as well.
Yeah, and one of the houses had a replication area
Okay.
that I believe Art Allen worked on.
Okay, I'll ask Art about that as well.
So he's going to have to do that final inspection, making sure that everything is in compliance with 310 CMR 10.55 subsection 4.
Got it.
All right. So that would be great. It'd be nice to close those two out. All right, that's it for me. I send it back to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Mike, any comments, questions on this one?
Nope, I think they have everything covered in Brandon's concerns would have been mine. So trees, I guess that's the only thing we have left to discuss. I mean, if it's heavily wooded and they're only taking a few down to, work their way through, but that's a sharp bend, and getting land clearing equipment, and the intent's probably really great to not cut a lot down, but I guess we'll have to see after the clearing, maybe after the pre-construction meeting or the hay bale inspection. We can just kind of see what happened and assess it at that point. That would be my opinion on that tree area. And other than that, I'm good with everything.
That
Thank
would
you.
have to be conditioned ahead of time, so the commission has something to fall back on to make them do some kind of mitigation. So you probably think of some kind of wording for requiring what, planting of bushes or trees or something like that after we see what the impact was.
That sounds good to me. That's just as long as we account for it, so we're consistent. This is one of the tougher ones where there's very few coming down. They hope. I know how that can go sometimes. That's not to be negative, but just do your best to have as little impact when you do the land clearing. And then we can condition that we'll figure out the mitigation after we see the impact.
Yeah, we'll probably say at the pre-construction meeting, we can make an assessment at that time, something like that.
Okay, sounds good. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Andy, any comments?
Yeah, and I'm not so sure that it's really our deal to catch it, but the legality of the removal of the restriction. Brandon, was there any comments back from DEP on this filing?
No, not that I remember.
All right, and if will National Heritage kick this back if it, you know what I mean, if it's not going to fly?
It's a question for George.
We have to deal with natural heritage. There's no doubt about it that there's you folks, there was the planning board, and there's natural heritage. We need everybody's blessing before this goes forward.
Okay, I just don't, I don't think that our board is necessarily experts on these deed restrictions. We see them few and far between. So it's kind of a tough thing for me to even wrap my head around. And Jen Hager's actually a lot, she's very well versed in this stuff. So, I think as long as it, and I believe she gave it, her board gave it their blessing. So, as long as we have something to fall back on, it's going through one more avenue to be checked. I think I'm okay with it. And like Brandon said, we'll just put some language in there that any trees, upon inspection that are removed have to be replaced with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions, concerns?
I got to apologize to Andy. I just looked up the DEP file number, and we do have a file number. It's 303-0933. And the technical comments are as follows. DEP recommends proposed sedimentation barriers be extended further to the northeast in the area of the A-series wetland to provide additional protection to the resource area. What do you think of that, Carl?
That seems fine to me. I'm assuming we have a couple different A-series flags. We have an A, B, an AC, and an AA. So I'm assuming they mean the
It just reads A-series.
Like further up the page towards West Millbury Road, I'm assuming.
I don't even think that's necessary because that driveway is already well established.
Yeah,
It's well established over that end.
that's if it's the AA series, then that's fine too.
Well, I don't know. Close to the West Millbury Road, I mean, the driveways are already in. The only thing that's going to happening is trucks going in and out. And I don't see that as a big.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
see that as a problem.
Exactly. So
Anyway.
at the AA series, we got the wattles go all the way through the resource area, the upland resource area out to outside the buffer.
Yeah, I thought you did a pretty good job with the placement of the erosion controls myself.
Thanks.
So, I mean, all we're dealing with right now is the potential revision for the driveway and figuring, maybe a grass swale or just showing how it's going to be graded away.
Yep.
We're going to have some language in the order about the driveway and trees and be only able to talk out what mitigation measures are necessary at the time of the pre-construction meeting. And, I think there's one thing the commission should discuss is your feelings on the deed restriction. So I think I'll kick it back to the chairman.
Yeah, right. Zach, any questions?
No questions. Actually, I guess one, where is the deed restriction on this map?
So anything that you see there with like that darker hatch.
Okay, so the dark gray is the deed restriction then.
Yep, correct. If you
And that
go
would be
through-
right, and that's right where the driveway is going through then.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
James, anything? Questions?
My only question had to do with the involvement of the endangered species and natural heritage. I think Andy covered that, and it sounds pretty clear that that's outside of our jurisdiction and not really something for the board to necessarily need to get involved in, if I understand that correctly.
Perfect, thank you. So I think that's all the comments. Anyone from the public here for this?
I don't have any messages from the public.
All right, so I think we need a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Andrew Wolf, second.
Mr. Attorney it looks like he had a comment.
I just had a quick question. We're going to go to natural heritage. And I don't want to put words in the board's mouth, but can we at least represent to them, depending upon what your motion, that you don't seem to have a problem with the modification? Because they may say to us, well, what does Milbury say? I mean, what does Sutton say? And so we need to know. I say, we've been to Concom. They don't have a problem if you don't have a problem. But that's what we want to be able to say to them, if that's what the board's inclination is.
I think that's a good point. Thank you for that. Mike made a motion. Andy seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
James, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the NOI for 82 Eight Lots Road and 41 West Milbury Road for a common driveway, with the conditions that at the pre-construction meeting, they determined the amount of trees that had to come down and a plan for remediation of the fallen trees. Also, I don't know that if our board would give the full approval that we gave it our blessing for the national heritage, but that we really had no comment and that we would rely on them, and that we saw that there was no issues as far as what we could see. Is that it? I think that's what we wanted to get in there.
One more thing, Mike, was some infiltration design for the portion of the driveway that goes through the buffer zone.
Thank you, Brandon. Correct. Yes. The edge of driveway work.
Yeah. Which Carl could submit in the next week or so, because we have 21 days in which to issue the order. And
we would expect Carl to get that to you in the next 10 days.
Yep, we can do that for sure.
Before I second this, Brandon, should we make this approval pending the decision of natural heritage?
I think that this is mutually exclusive, so I don't think you personally don't think that you need to. That's my opinion.
I second Mike McGovern's motion to issue the order of conditions.
Mike McGovern made a motion. Andrew DeWolf seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
James, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. Thank you very much for all coming on tonight.
All right.
Great job.
Hey, Bill, sorry to interrupt. Who made the motion? Who seconded it real quick?
Mike made the motion. Andy seconded.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you very much. Thanks for hearing us tonight.
Thank you. I'm glad you got the DEP number right away on this one too.
Yeah, that was a miracle.
Yeah, made it easy. Have a good
Thank
night.
you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is 182 Manchog Road, and this is a continuation. So I don't have to read that in. So if someone wants to waive the reading, we can get going on this one.
Make a motion to waive the reading of 182 Manchog Road.
I'll second that.
Zach made the motion. Andy seconded. Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
James, how do you vote?
This is a continuance. Do I vote on this one? Aye if I do.
You can.
You can
as
vote
a
because you were
voter
present for the
tonight.
meeting.
I was present for the meeting, correct. Okay.
Yeah, that Nicole's missing, so Jamie's taking her place for everything.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Good question, though. And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. Okay, do we have anyone here for 182 tonight?
The engineer is Jude Garvin. I don't know why he's not here. I don't know what to tell you. It was because there was no DEP number and it was continued here because of that. So maybe he didn't need to be here. I don't know. That is up to you.
Okay, thanks, Wanda. Brandon, do you have any updates on this one?
Sorry, I'm still writing down notes for 82 8 lots. Which site is it?
182 Manchog Road. It's the
Oh, no,
stairs in the fire pit.
Yeah, we're all set with this. We couldn't close last time because they hadn't issued the file numbers, but they have it now. So I think it's just now pro forma, do the vote.
Okay, that's what I thought too, but I make a lot of mistakes, so I could have been wrong. Okay, so we need a
I'll
public
make a
hearing.
motion to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'll second it.
Mike made the motion. Zach seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye.
I'll make a motion to approve 182 Manchog Road, exterior stairs and fire pit.
Andy DeWolf seconds.
Mike made the motion. Andy seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. Right on time. Wanda, I'm showing on my agenda 7:50.
Yes, sorry, it was a typo, but yeah, we could do some board business if you want. We have, what, half an hour or so? Because you have people that will be here on the board business. I know at least 3 of them will be on the meeting. So if you want to move to the minutes, which I did send everybody, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them, and then we can go down to the certificates for now, and then come back to the last one, 5.5 Sunrise.
Okay. We have the minutes of June 17th and July 1st.
Andrew DeWolf make a motion to approve the 2 sets of minutes.
I'll second it.
Andy made the motion. Zach seconded. Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote? Lost Mike.
Aye.
Oh, Mike's aye. And Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. Right, that's good. Next up is certificate of compliance for 176 Manchog Road.
This is a old one before my time.
Yeah.
Wanda, do you have any information on this one?
If you should look on the meeting material under board business, there'll be information there. I believe the request is there for this. It was a while back, but I don't remember half of it either. Let me see if I have the plans.
There were pictures submitted.
Yes, I know.
Do you want me to pull up the pictures for the screen share?
Yeah, Zach, that'd be great, because I don't have a description on this one. I have a description for the public hearings, but I don't see this
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
Unfortunately, because the age of this one, I couldn't find the legal ad either.
I'm seeing some pictures. Do we know what they were supposed to do? This is a real old one, right?
Okay, and that
Wanda,
looks
did
like
you
it's-
find anything?
Andrew DeWolf, just for the record, we do have a letter of substantial compliance for this project from G&H, and it's dated June 12th, 2020. And I could read it in if you'd like.
Yeah, it'd probably be good to have it on record, please.
It is dated June 12th, 2020. It says, "Dear conservation members, G&H Inc. has been retained to certify its substantial compliance with the order of conditions in its amendment issued for 176 Manchog Road, file number 3030888 on June 8th, 2020. John Federico conducted an inspection of the site. Please find his report and some photos below. A supplemental plan was also updated and included with the request for certificate of compliance, showing the photo locations and additional features, including but not limited to tree plantings. Proposed driveway, patio, retaining wall. Upon inspection, the driveway was compromised of a level, compacted gravel base and was set slightly lower than the existing grades of Manchog Road. The gravel was found 1 to 2 inches below the top retaining wall, showed no signs of erosion or ponding. While this is a deviation from the design, which proposed a bituminous concrete final course with minimal pitch towards Manchog Road right away, this change will minimize the overall amount of runoff, as flows will infiltrate the parking area and remain mostly on site with no significant pitch towards the right of way. The patio was constructed using brick pavers instead of concrete. All disturbed areas were found stabilized. This change is minor and will not adversely impact the design. The retaining wall was found with an approximate 3.5 foot by 12-inch long extension to allow for a more gradual slope along the southern property line. See photo number 3. All disturbed areas were found stabilized. This change will not adversely affect the design. Proposed deck, swale, and landscaping. Along the southern property line, 2 new maple trees were planted closer toward Lake Manchog, and extra plantings were added to the existing landscaped area. See photo number 4. No signs of erosion were found along the southern property line. Along the northern property line, new plantings were added, including but not limited to hostas, mountain laurel, hydrangeas, and azalea, as well as a 3rd new maple tree within 20 feet of Lake Manchog. No signs of erosion were found along the northern property line. Small portions of the lawn near the northeast corner of the water quality swale were found without fully established vegetation. The applicant was notified and added additional seed mix to all unstabilized areas. See photos number 5 and 7. And that's the end of the letter.
Thank you for reading all that in. Anyone have any comments on this? Sounds good to me, but
Sounds good to me. Great job. I mean, pictures, that script, where did that letter come? Is that from the engineer?
Yes, sir. It came from Guyer and Hellman.
So that's a very, that I just want to use it as an example, that there were some things that were different than the plan, but the engineer took the time to make us feel good that there was extra plantings, and he gave the species. And I mean, geez, I could only hope that every engineer would give us a letter of that explanation. So I think it's very well done. That's it.
great. Motion here?
I'll make the motion to issue the certificate of compliance 176 Manchog Road.
I'll second it.
Andy made the motion, Zach seconded. Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. It was a good one. Next up is a certificate of compliance for 91 Burbank Road, the Sibley Dam. Do we have anything on this one, Wanda?
I do. I do.
Yeah, Brandon was here for this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one's been delayed for a long time.
Brandon, hold
because-
on one second.
Yep.
Jamie, are you a direct abutter to this?
I am a direct abutter. I should recuse myself. I didn't.
Thank you. I just don't want any conflict of interest.
That's a very smart observation.
Okay, so it had been delayed because there was still areas where there was some erosion. But that's all gone. It's well grown in now, stable. And my recommendation at this time is to issue a full certificate of compliance for Sibley Dam.
Thank you for that, Brandon. Am I hearing a motion?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Actually, it's not a public hearing. You're making a motion for certificate of compliance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 91 Burbank Road, the Sibley Dam.
I'll second it.
Mike made the motion. Zach seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. And for the record, Jamie Marin has recused on this one. Thank you. Next up is 15 Old Tavern Lane. Wander, Brandon, anything on this one?
Okay, this one is a very old one, and just have it, hold on. It's very old. It is, the number on it is 303-377. This was part of a subdivision through Fred Shotwell. This is before my time, and I've been here 20 years. So what they're looking for is a certificate of compliance to just close this out. I think this was part of one of the letters that I sent out back when. I just haven't had time to send any more out for them to be closing out the certificates. I don't know if it needed an as-built. This came from a lawyer. It came from Tom Wickstrom in Whitensville. So I don't know what you would like to do with this. I'm sure everything was done. I just don't know, if anything was left open because it's so old. It was back in 1999.
Do we have a letter of substantial compliance for this?
I'm not sure. We have the request.
So to answer Andy's question, the only thing I have in the folder is a request. I don't have any pictures or any letters for testifying that it is in substantial compliance.
I mean, not to interject, but my opinion is we at least need that paper to move forward on a closing. I would think.
Wander, there's definitely nothing in there, right? Just, I mean,
I can't even find the file because it must be listed as something else. I know it was part of a subdivision, but I have no idea which part of it. It's so old, I can't even find the paperwork for it. So chances are it was just, part of it was tossed and I cannot find, I can't even find the plans.
I agree with Andy on the letter. My concern is if we're sending out things to get old things cleaned up, but we don't know what we're asking for. That doesn't-
If you want to table it, I can do some more research and try to find the subdivision through the planning board, see if I can find any paperwork from them, that maybe that'll help me to find this paperwork. I searched for this for over a week and I still came up with nothing.
Bill, I built on Old Tavern Lane. It is an older subdivision. But there's a specific address. I know they had the road itself, and probably there was a filing for that. And then you would have the individual filings for each address. I don't know if it helps, Wanda, but I don't think it would go back to the old subdivision where it's been assigned an address.
Yeah,
You know
there
which one
was-
this is? Is this the one at the end of the circle? There's only, I think there's 2 newer ones. So there's 4 houses total in there. 2 go way back and 2 I think are new within the last 10 years.
Okay.
I know that 14 just came in 2-3 years ago. So it's 15, so it's got to be on the opposite side of the street.
Right, those are those, one, Brandon, I think the one you're talking about was on the end on the right. And
Yes.
that's one of the newer ones. That 99 goes back. I'm thinking it has to be the first home that was built because the one I did was in like 04 and that house was already done when we built the second one in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm on the street now. There's 4 houses on the street. My sister lives next to the one that was most recently built that I think Brandon referred to. So the only house that it could be is the one at the end of the cul-de-sac, Mike. At least that.
I can confirm from my GIS program that it is definitely the one at the end of the cul-de-sac.
So 15 Old Tavern is that was the first one built in there. I think the original owner still owns it. So he must be the one looking for the certificate of compliance.
It actually just sold.
I was just going to say, I believe it's been for sale and they're probably trying to clean it up. So I think it wouldn't be too much to ask just for that letter from the engineer that whatever was supposed to happen, the letter of substantial completion. I don't think that would be a hard thing to ask for, just from what I know about down there.
There's one thing that I know is that they added a shed sometime on the right-hand side of the driveway, some between 2009 and 2013, according to the aerial photography that I have.
If it's well noted on a
I think we would
compliance letter, like we just got from G&H, I think I'd be happy with that. But we at least need that letter before we can move forward.
I will contact the attorney tomorrow and see if I can find any further information or have him find it because like I say, I'll try to get into the vault again and look for more filings for this.
So Wanda, before you spend too much time on it, just my opinion, I would say like you just said it correctly, let the attorney figure it out.
Yeah, he needs to get me
They'll find the engineer
further.
of record, and I don't think it'll be that hard for them. It hasn't transferred owners. I think that it'll be a pretty simple task just to get the engineer to write that letter.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
All right, so then I would like to make a motion to table the certificate of compliance for 15 Old Tavern Lane until August 5th under board business.
I'll second it.
Zach made a motion, Mike seconded. Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
James, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Lentz, vote aye. Perfect. And if we
Oh
come
wait,
across
James has
anything,
to recuse himself. Wasn't this the one that he had to recuse himself for?
no, that was another one, but your sister lives there. I don't know if that's a conflict.
That's not a conflict.
You're fine, I guess. I don't get mad. It's not
This
like
goes
it's her
back
house.
before his sister even lived there.
Yeah, that was before she built her house.
Oh, the oldies.
I don't think
Okay.
Jamie has any financial gains on Old Tavern Lane. Do you, Jamie?
I don't. I wish I had.
He's buying the house in question? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I got enough houses.
Department project input forms, Wanda. Anything going on?
Not at this time now.
Okay, so we've gone through everything, and under board business, they all have a time on them. So I am assuming we have to
I
wait
know.
till 8.
Well, $750 for 5.5. You need to wait for that to do that one. And yeah, unfortunately, the others, yeah, because it was a typo and I didn't notice it until after I posted the agenda. the second time. I thought I had put 700 and I didn't, unfortunately. Yeah, because you've got someone on the first one, Waters Farm, there's someone coming in on that. And I believe on all four, there was someone coming in from 8 to 8:20. We could take a recess, maybe.
Do we usually have times for board business?
I didn't think so.
I didn't think we did.
You know, these particular ones, that was mentioned to me too, but these particular people, when they were asking me what time, and I thought, well, I'll do them every 5 minutes. And I was told, no, I don't have to do that. You just tell them particular time when you might be doing board business, and then they can all come in at the same time if they want.
Yeah, I think we should try to go back to that because now, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but
Yeah.
now we're going to wait a while.
I know, unfortunately.
Does anyone know who a Paul J is?
Wait a minute. Is it, yes, he is for Purgatory Chasm. And
So
it's
he's on
listed as
8:10. If we don't have to wait to the time, can we take him now?
You probably could, because this is only board business. So I suppose it would be okay.
All right, let's bring him on, Zach, if you want to bring him in and tell him he got on at the right time.
I'm admitting him now.
Thank you.
So it's 7.
Hey, Paul, are you on?
Paul Janegy is on.
Hey, Paul, you came on at the right time because you're here for Purgatory Chasm, right?
I am.
So if you want to give us an update, go ahead.
It's great. I'm glad I joined a little bit early. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for having me. I'm Paul Janegy. I'm with the Department of Conservation and Recreation. I work on trail planning and trail repair projects statewide in our many state forests and parks. And I just wanted to give a brief update on a project we've got at Purgatory Chasm. We have initiated a project to do some design and planning for some improvements to the chasm entrance area, and then also some of the trails right around the top of the chasm loop trail, and maybe some sections of the Charlie's Loop Trail. Our goals are really sort of threefold. One is to look at accessibility improvements to that part of the top of the chasm overlooks, and the entrance to the chasm. Also to look at, there you go. Thanks, Zach. I have some of that as well. And then also to look at if there might be ways that, a lot of the forests around that area are highly impacted. So to look at if there are ways to guide people better through the site, keep them on the trails where we want to, and then do some restoration, soil restoration and planting restoration to help improve the habitat around there. This is our site analysis for the trails in the chasm area. This is existing conditions out there now. Yep, and I don't know, yeah, there you can see. So we had a wetland scientist go out as a part of the project, and there is one isolated wetland. Can you use your cursor to point to that? Yep, right there. It's a perched isolated wetland about 30 feet from the chasm loop trail there. And so it's not something that we're going to be impacting directly. And maybe is there's no topo shown on that one particularly, but so again, we're going through a process. We're going to look at, can we make improvements to the trail, accessibility improvements to the trails, and then giving people a better experience, and then trying to do some restoration permit in some of the heavily impacted areas. And so that's the broad outline of what we're looking at doing. I guess if there's any questions or thoughts or comments.
Nice update. Thank you very much. Anyone from the board have any questions or comments or concerns?
I just wanted to bring up that, like the projects on the Merrill Pond thing, they don't have to file with us. So I think that DCI knows what they're doing, and they're looking to approve a problem area. So I think it sounds good to me.
I hate to jump in and on this, but they actually do have to file with us. What they don't have to do is file under the bylaw, as we remember from Merrill Pond, because Fish and Wildlife is part of the executive branch. They get what's called executive privilege, just like DOT does. They do not have to follow the bylaw, but they do have to file under the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Conservation Commission is the reviewer of those. So sorry, Andy.
I was mistaken.
Well, so in this case, that it being an isolated wetland, not showing any vertical characteristics, there wouldn't be any jurisdiction under the State Wetlands Protection Act.
Correct, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it being jurisdictional under the bylaw.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
You were just making the point. Yeah, right. Sorry.
So thank you for sharing it with us. It's always
Thanks for the
nice to let us know what's going on down at Purgatory.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. Is there anything else I can provide or any questions?
It's a good update, Paul. Thanks for jumping on. You got on just at the right time, so you didn't have to wait
Great.
another hour.
Yeah, maybe you guys get to have an early evening.
It was only that lucky, huh? But we get paid overtime the longer this goes. So
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Still waiting on my first check.
yeah, me too. Have a great night, Paul. Thank you for the help on this one.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we get what, 10 minutes or so? Should we recess? Is any other thing going on in town we should talk about while we're on?
Oh, real quick, I had a couple of complaints come in to me thinking I was still the chair, which I'm not. So I passed the buck to you, Bill. But just before the 4th of July, about the situation at Marion's camp. No restrooms, people were doing whatever they wanted, the gates wide open. And I believe the Singletary Association met with the town manager, and they now have put in restroom facilities, and they also put the ropes out to limit the swim area, which is good. So that's a positive.
That's a great update, and I'm glad to hear that's hopefully getting cleaned up. There was a similar complaint, now that we're on it, on the Manchog boat ramp. It's my understanding or my belief that there's no charge right now because of COVID. So there's been a lot of complaints of boats, trailers, trucks, cars all over the boat ramp road, as well as parking up and down Manchog Road. So I will, as a chair, I'll shoot an email out to the town manager to make him aware. Maybe that can start getting policed a little bit, because it's kind of a mess right now. And I don't believe there's a porta potty there either.
That part of the beach, the pond, is Millbury. The boat ramp is in Millbury, not Sutton, so you would have to notify the Millbury Conservation Commission.
This one's on Manchog. Andy was talking about.
I thought you were talking about the other one.
Yeah,
Oh,
Andy was
Manchog,
talking
yeah,
about Singletary, which I think has been resolved, hopefully, for Marion's camp. And then this is the
Yeah.
Manchog boat ramp. I haven't heard any other complaints.
I wrote the wrong one down.
Discuss the YMCA camp, just a little update. Just,
That'd be
I don't
great,
think
Mike,
they're
if
going to
you
be in our jurisdiction. If we had, we're just trying to kill some time. Do you want to, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to let Mike talk on this one, but Mike and myself were reached out to as the chair and vice chair or co-chair Board of Health and the state were meeting at Camp Blanchard today. Mike was able to shoot down there about 1 o'clock. And it looks like of right now, they're not going to be in our jurisdiction within the 200 foot. And if they're going to be, it will be to take emergency trees down that are, a danger to the building or lives underneath. So I think Mike had a good meeting. I don't know if you want to add a little to that, Mike.
No, that was a good summary. That was the main objective, was just to make sure that the camp knew that, if a tree, as they go through this process of approval from some of the Board of Health employees that are helping them to be compliant with the regulations so they can be open for August 1st. And one of the things is life safety of, they call them widow makers, the trees was the word they used. I know as a board, we're trying to be more mindful for the danger that trees can possess. So when I was there, I definitely saw quite a few larger trees. They were substantially back from the lake, but I didn't want him to feel like he couldn't take a tree down. So I did reach out to Bill, and we thought it best that they take care of business down there and get rid of the unsafe trees. And then if they felt they were in our jurisdiction, they would let us know. And they were also going to notify us the day that there's going to be 2 days that the cutting goes on. Sometime he's going to try to get them there earlier, but the guy committed to the beginning of August. So if there is tree activity at Camp Blanchard, it is being overseen.
And Mike and I are going to try to take a ride down or be involved in the area to at least check that out. So Mike, thanks for going to that. I appreciate that today. And
Yep.
Again, they are not open now, and they're working to try to get up to par to be able to open. Anything else going?
Yeah, if I might, I forgot to do this before I was no longer chair anymore. But for years and years, Joyce was kind of the liaison with Waters Farm. And we appreciate all her work with that. And we really need to be, at least one of our members needs to be present for the meetings and so forth. And Mike is actually, I think, general contract in the barn project, correct, Mike?
Yeah, and I've also been attending all the meetings too.
So I
On
think
behalf
Mike,
of the commission.
I think Mike has earned his way up as Waters Farm liaison. But we should probably, as a board, sit down and talk about, does that position stay with the title of vice chair, or do you just want to have a member do it? Just so in the future we don't have, all of us that say, boy, I don't have time for that, because it really is a time-consuming thing, and we appreciate you going above and beyond, Mike.
No, thank you. It's actually interesting. I guess I have a vested interest living across the lake, and get the reward for me is to be able to see that farm every day and know that it's, something sacred to the rest of the town. It is quite a place. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. So yes, it's some of my time, but I actually going to say that I enjoy it.
Thank you, Mike. It's nice to see it getting taken to the next step too.
It's a good group of guys. I know that one of the things, we do have Waters Farm on tonight. I won't talk much about the shingle mill. Bob's put a lot into it, and he's got a great plan. So I'll let him, talk to the board about it. But that's another great thing that's coming up at Waters Farm. And they are trying to figure out, hopefully, to have the Fall Festival, which is one of the major fundraisers for Waters Farm. I know they're trying to buy that land that got pushed off. Oh, so much to talk about at Waters Farm. And I guess us being the liaison, if we have extra time, we could talk about all the different things that I have learned, give the board a little update.
Got a couple minutes if you want to take it.
So I know that one of the things that came in front of our board was the acquisition of that land. It did get pushed off at town meeting. I for one, am really hoping that all works out, and that, on top of the money that our Conservation Commission was able to allocate, that the townspeople will deem it necessary to appropriate the rest of the funds to acquire that parking lot. We are going to be working on a fall fundraiser to start. You'd mentioned the barn that I have helped general contract. It's on its way. Dave Stevenson, we're lucky to get him an exceptional barn builder. So it's underway with the construction of the second barn on the property. So that's a great thing that's going on. The state donated $200,000 this year. Well, it didn't donate, but in grants, we were able to, Ryan Fatman secured $200,000 of income that's paying for this initial start of this barn. It's going to get us to weather tight, which is huge. So that was a great thing that happened from the state that we got a little nervous about with the virus, but it did come through, and the funds have been put into the account, into the Waters Farm account, and accounted for. And lastly, I'll just quickly say it, but this shingle mill, I hope the rest of the board's as excited as I am about it. I think Bob's got a great plan. It's actually going to create working wood, maybe even for the new barn, take some trees down on the property and run it through the sawmill, and it becomes siding for the barn that was mentioned. So like I said, Waters Farm is a great thing, and I hope the town continues to support it.
Thank you for that update, Mike, and thanks for the help of you and your company up behind the scenes, or actually not behind the scenes, but kind of spearheading that up there. So thank you. It's now perfect timing, 7:50. So we have 5.5. I have to read this one in because it's new.
Bill, we have one person waiting, but they haven't responded to the message. Do I let them in?
Is it someone related to this? Do we know?
It says Galaxy Tab A. So I'm assuming it's just a phone ID.
I guess we probably should. I'm guessing it's for this one at 7:50. I guess be ready to shut them off. The Sutton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 at 7 p.m. at the Sutton Town Hall, 4 Oxford Road, Sutton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to review a notice of intent submitted to the Conservation Commission by Richard Page in Sutton, Mass. The project consists of replacing the existing driveway and parking area at 5.5 Sunrise Drive, Sutton, Mass. This notice is publicized in accordance with the provisions of General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, commonly known as the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This will be a virtual meeting in accordance with the orders issued by the governor during this current state of emergency. There will be no in-person attendance by the public. Persons may attend and participate in the hearing by using the online Zoom application at https://zoom.us/join or via phone at 1-929-205-6099, meeting ID 812-3464-4571, and the password is 230903. You may also provide input by emailing it to w.bean@town.sutton.ma.us or mailing it to Conservation for 4 Oxford Road, Sutton, Mass. 01590. An electronic file of the application material can be viewed on the town's website at https://www.suttonma.org/conservation/pages/May 20th meeting materials, and a copy of the same may also be requested via email to w.bean@town.sutton.ma.us or by phone at 508-865-8728. Thank you all for bearing with me on that. I have to read that in. So is the person on here for 5.5 Sunrise?
I believe he's the one that called earlier. It was Richard Patient, that he's a CPA, so he's unable to attend tonight because today is the last day for filing. So it's a request for determination. It's after the fact. So it's whatever you choose to do with this one.
I can kind of go over what happened if you'd like.
Sure, thanks, Andy.
Yep. So basically, I think it was end of last summer, in the fall, we had get called there on a complaint of a driveway being put in the buffer zone. I went and looked. It was in the within our jurisdiction. I had them stop work. They came in for a meeting. They went over the project, and we kind of talked about it, and we all agreed that we'd let them file the RDA after the fact, after the project was complete. The driveway, I believe, is like, it's not in far. I think the last 20 feet of it are in our jurisdiction. There wasn't a ton of permanent disturbance. I think it was a pre-existing driveway, so it was more of an in-kind repair. The only thing that wasn't is I believe that they would put heaters in and lighting down the side of the driveway as well. And then they did not file. So an enforcement order went out on this, and now they have filed. So it's paid for. We kind of know what happened. We have a record of it. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak on it.
Thank you for the overview. Anyone have any comments on this?
I did go to the site and take pictures, and I don't know if anybody has those, if they feel like taking them, showing them.
I believe there was a shed as well. I think, so it was a driveway. I think it started at about 90 feet roughly, and it continued up beyond the 200. And there was also a shed. There's a brand new shed. But as long as he filed his RDA, I think that was the mission. Wander, I guess he just asked for a continuance till next meeting. I don't believe he's filed his RDA yet.
Yeah,
Oh.
the RDA's been filed, but he didn't ask. He just contacted me today and said that, and this was not, I don't know, it wasn't before, it was probably a little before 4 o'clock, and said that because he's a CPA, he cannot attend the meeting tonight. So I guess it would be up to you what you want to do with this. Do you want to either put it through?
So what is his RDA? Did anybody look the paperwork over for his RDA? And does it make sense that is it all complete and we can just put this to rest?
Yeah, as far as I know, it is complete. The paperwork he gave me is complete.
Perfect. So we have a filed RDA that's on record, and I think that would, so what the first thing we'd have to do is amend the ticket, the enforcement order, or ratify it, whatever.
Would nullify it, I believe it is.
Nullify the enforcement order would be the first action, and then what do we vote on the RDA?
We nullified that last meeting.
Okay.
He did
right.
appear at the last meeting. We nullified it already.
And
So
I
what's
believe
left to do?
I think we agreed that if he did a RDA on this, he was good to go, is my understanding, right?
Right.
And it's
So
all. Am I hearing a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion for
Got to close the public hearing first.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Mike made the motion. Andy seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. And now, Mike, you can make that motion.
I make a motion for 5.5 Sunrise Drive for a negative determination.
I'll second it.
Mike made the motion. Zach seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. Perfect. Thank you. It's now 8 o'clock in Waters Farm, and I believe you're on for us. So is this right?
Yeah, Bob Chauvin should be on, and I don't know if any of the directors will be with him. I don't know if he's here or not yet.
Hey, Bob, if you want to unmute yourself and give us an update on Waters Farm, we'd love to hear it.
Bob's here. Yeah. I think he's trying to figure out how to get the mute button.
Hold the space bar, Bob.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. But I lost video. Oh, God. Still there?
Yeah,
Yep.
we're still here. We don't need the
Right.
video. You can go ahead without it.
That's fine. So we want to put up a post and beam building to house a 1922 lane sawmill. And we're close to the vernal pool. We're about 100 feet away. I'm not sure if we need to file any special paperwork for that or not. Mike did come down and look at it.
So if I can, Bob, after our site visit the other night, I did reach out to Brandon, our consultant. I discussed what we saw, the stone wall that separates the vernal pool from the area you want to work in. I agree the distance is 100 feet. I feel very comfortable to relay to the board that you're outside our jurisdiction and that you'd be able to just go ahead with that project in that area that we talked about.
Okay, that'd be great. Is there anything else I need to do? And I'm not sure what other procedures I have to go through.
I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I believe that you just go about and do your project. Stay on that side of the stone wall. You know, be mindful for that 100 feet from the Vernon Pool.
Yep,
You know,
yeah, that's not a problem.
and then you'll be good. If you have any
Okay.
questions, you can always call me, and you know, I'm right around the corner, and I can relay messages if you think something should be looked at. But no, I think it's a great project. I'm looking forward to it. I was actually talking to the board about it a little bit. I didn't want to say too much. Just it's going to be a great thing up at Waters Farm. You know, I mean, that's a nice addition to what you guys have going on up there.
Right, and that was the main reason that I pursued that project was it fits very well because it is a vintage unit for other attractions and other learning and education directions for other things that we can do at the farm. So, and plus it'll be a benefit just to help with some of the building maintenance if we need to fix some of the buildings and stuff.
Bob, one more thing, maybe just to let our board members know that we did reach out to the town manager and just made sure about liability and that we were cleared on all the, you know, the town weighing in on what their thoughts would be on it too. So this is kind of, Bob, like your final, you know, blessing to just go ahead and get this thing done.
Correct. Yes, the town selectmen all approved it and we're anxious to see it too. So everybody seems to be on board with it. So we will start with the project and hopefully in about a year, everything should be up and running.
Great to hear, Bob. Thank you very much. And hopefully for fall of 21, it's good to go.
Very good. Thank you all very much.
you.
And we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Bob. Have a great night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Next up, we're right back on time, is 25 Harback Road. This is an enforcement order for dumping into the pond. And is anybody on for Harback right now, Zach?
I see no one in the chat. Let me check if anyone's trying to get in. We have no one in the waiting room.
Okay.
And Bill, if you'll give me 1 second, I'll pull up the pictures.
Sure, thank you.
Wanda, didn't he respond to you and he was gonna be here for this meeting?
Yes, he did. It was Charles, is it Colorio? He was supposed to be at this meeting. I don't know why he's not, but it is up to you what you want to do with this. I have dumping in the pond, so you need, unless he comes in at a later time, I don't know what to tell you.
So currently I have the photos that I received from Bill. So this is photo 1, photo 2, photo 3, and then 4.
And for the record on this complaint came in from an employee of Package Steel Systems.
Which is directly across the street. And I think the biggest concern is the wood can get pulled out, but I believe that's a big chunk of concrete. At least it's what it looked like to me when I drove by. And it looks like that in this picture here.
Yeah, there was some other trash mixed in with it too.
I mean, I did a site visit as well, and I mean, pretty disheartening, right from the street, all pushed right into the wetland. And I think this complaint came in at least a month ago now.
Well, this picture is dated May 21st, and so it's about 2 months ago, because I know I drove out there. I believe a lot of other people did as well. And we've been trying to reach the owner for a while. We sent out a couple of different forms, and Wanda said they bounced back, and she did finally have contact with him, I believe last week, right, Wanda?
Yes, actually, yes, it was last week. I sent the forms to his wife, And apparently she held it for a while and then gave it to him. That's why the delay. I don't know why he's not on.
I guess, Bill, the question to ask is, I mean, 2 months into, what's the plan for restoration? I mean, Brandon, could you weigh in on that? I mean, 2 months, we have filling of a wetland, trash, cement. I mean, this isn't buffer zone. I believe it's, from what I could see, I mean, it's in it.
Yeah.
And we're going to be losing the growing season. You know, I mean, we're getting, you know, the end of the summer is going to be here really quick. I mean,
Yeah.
the goal here is to get it cleaned up. It's not to harass anybody. It's not to try to make a big deal. But, I mean, I would think this is something that we need this to be cleaned up.
Yes, I would agree. The enforcement order says that a restoration plan shall be filed with the issuing authority on or before July 1, 2020. And as far as I know, for the following, all right, so let me step back. So the order in the enforcement orders, the specific order was a restoration plan shall be filed with the issuing authority on or before July 1, 2020 for the following: removal of all brush, concrete, and/or other materials that were deposited between Harback Road and a wetland resource area, installation of erosion slash sedimentation controls, and permanent stabilization of slopes. So they were supposed to come up with that plan before July 1, and I don't even know if they've even contacted the commission.
So, Brandon, if we were to talk a little bit,
was the call.
I'm sorry.
The only
call,
Through the
Wanda.
chair?
Wait,
Yeah,
wait,
the
we have
contact-
someone in the waiting room by the name
Bring
of
him on,
John.
Zach, please.
Okay, he looks like he's connecting.
Bill, just while we're waiting, I mean, so the enforcement order is already in place, and there's been really nothing done, and we're going on over 2 months.
My understanding, Mike, is that the orders were going out, and Wanda could probably tell you, but they weren't getting to him. They were bouncing back to the town hall, is my understanding.
Okay, so that's different. So he's just been notified.
Wanda, is that correct?
Yes, it came back 3 times. The 4th time I mailed it to his wife, who's at a different address. And apparently she held it for a week. That's why we didn't. And then he finally called me. So he said he would be at tonight's meeting, but I'm sorry, I don't know why he isn't.
Just a question, Wanda. So is there nobody living at you sent it to the address at the,
Yes, he lives at 25 Harback. That's where the order went to, but I don't know why it was returned. The post office does the delivering, but I don't know why it got returned so many times. It was the correct address, but it
maybe
never
the
got
wrong
to him.
person? Maybe he doesn't live there?
Oh, he does. Yeah, he lives there.
He does?
I have all that information.
Maybe if you don't sign for it, it gets returned. I'm not sure.
Zach, do you know,
Apparently, yeah.
not to interject, but do you know what this person's here for, John?
It looks like he just came live, so we could probably ask him.
Hi, John, you're on with us. Could you tell us what you're here for, please?
He's mute.
He's unmuted.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm attorney Michael Patno. We're here for 290 Putnam Hill Road, the Raymond's property.
Okay.
We're going to table you just for 2 minutes. We're just finishing. We were hoping, not hoping, we thought you might be for someone else. So we'll be with you in just a couple minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess my feeling is back to, what's the address on this one? Harback?
25 Harback, yeah.
25
That's where he lives.
Harback. I obviously can't make a motion on this, but if this has been given to him in a timely fashion, I personally think fines need to start be issued on this, and I want to see the property cleaned up. It's definitely a violation of the wetland right away.
Bill, I'm with you 100% on this one. And I think this mail game, you know, if we're sending it to the address and it's being kicked back, I think we did proper notification back, you know. I'm with you on this one. It's, I guess, what day do we start the fine from? because I think we have the right to go from data discovery.
Hold on.
Wanda, I have a question for you. If we're having an issue with the mail, and I don't think it's right that any fine goes to his wife or someone who lives at a different address, I do think it was good we finally got it out. Can we have this hand delivered by the Sutton Police Department?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check with them because with the COVID right now, I don't know if they'll do it or not, but I can ask them.
Just procedurally, when I was doing this before, I think due to Selectman's request, we have to write him a warning ticket for the first day or the first,
That has been done.
Did we already sign a warning ticket for this?
Hold on, I'm looking.
Citation number 0003.
Okay.
Issued date of violation 5/15/20. Date of notice 5/28/20. So this was written on May 28th.
Should we give him one more shot and send him a warning letter that he's going to get Sutton fined if he doesn't show up at the next meeting the next day?
Okay.
So Andy, maybe just a thought, if we start the fine as of today and he can, and if he appears at the next meeting, we could suspend the fine. I think that to go any longer, and I don't want to be the one to fine anybody, but something this blatant and to have no contact, they're aware that we're trying to get a hold of them, and I believe they're ignoring us, and I don't like that. I think that you deal with the problems, and maybe the fine will get their attention, because I'm going to say it again. I've said it on many things. The mission here is to protect the resource area, and I think for us to allow over 2 months to have gone by and no action taken is I think that we're not doing it right. I think that this has to be taken more serious. I truly do. And unfortunately, we've tried the nice way. We've notified them. These meetings are all posted in public, and I mean, maybe one of us could stop at the house and go up to the door and try to talk to them, and we could drop the ticket off ourselves if that's legal. I'll bring it down there. I'll try dropping.
I'm happy to go with you too, Mike. I want to just make sure we do this.
I just want it
legally.
cleaned up. So like I'll say it again, there's gonna be no more growing season. There's gonna be exposed soil. I think the reason to be aggressive is because of weather and climate. And that's in the best interest of the public and the resource area. I won't say any more, but that's how I feel.
Do we know that they're responsible for the material that's been left there, or if that was left by a third party?
Good question, Jim. It's all the more reason they should come in and just talk to us. Tell us what's going on. This has been going on for 2 months, several letters. They're not accepting the letters. They're making them get kicked back. We finally send it to his wife. She says that they're going to be at least at the meeting tonight. Like I said, we don't have to enforce it if at the next meeting we were wrong and that we shouldn't have issued the fines. But I think if we don't start the clock ticking, that there's going to be repercussions if they don't follow through with getting this corrected. I mean, I don't know that they did it, but I know that if I was accused of something like this, I'd be quick to get a hold of the town hall and let them know what went on.
Right. And who did it? It's a good question, but procedurally, the enforcement order has to be sent to the landowner, whether or not they did it. And it's because it's the violation goes along with the land, and therefore the landowner, not necessarily who might have done the work. So it was the correct procedure to send it to the owner.
According to the assessor's card, the landowner has owned the property since 1997. It was switched between some names here in 2007. So there's 2 ownership dates.
I think we've talked about it enough.
I agree. So we need some kind of motion on what we want to do.
I'll make a motion to issue a fine for 25 Hardback Road, starting from, what's the start date? Do we want to go from when we issued it, since they've been ignoring it for a week? I mean,
no, let's go
over a
from
month.
today. I mean, let's go from today, just because we don't, the goal is to get their attention, and I think the fine that, how much is it? It's $350 a day?
It's 300 a day, but if you do it by the day, someone has to go by there every day, and a new order has to be written every day, violation, or you can do it by the week.
I would be fine with weekly.
Yeah.
And I'll go by, I'd make the commitment to go by once a week.
All right, so do we want to make it starting July 1st, since that was when they were supposed to have contacted us?
Sounds good to me, Zach.
All right, so I'll make a motion to issue a weekly fine starting from July 1st for 25 Harback Road.
I'll second it.
Now, I have one question. The amount, should we do 300 a week, or should we do
300 a week.
2,100 a week for the 7 days in a week?
No, I think it's 300. Otherwise, we'd
Okay.
have to go every day.
Okay.
And the idea is to get his attention, not, create some monstrous fine.
Okay.
I think 300 a week, I know it would get my attention.
Okay.
I made the motion. Mike seconded. Zach, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. All right, Wanda, let me know on that one, and I can swing up and sign it and do what we need to do.
Okay, I'll set it up tomorrow.
Thank you. And last but not least is 290 Putnam Hill Road, and we do have John and company, I believe, on camera for us. So take it away if you'd like to give us an update on what's going on, please. You're still muted. You can try holding the space bar or click with the mouse. Top right should unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before the commission. I am attorney Michael Patnode. I'm here with the Raymonds, Todd and Nicole, who are the owners of 290 Putnam Hill Road. I'm also here with the engineer that they've engaged, which is David Sadowski. What we wanted to do, obviously, is as soon as possible get on the before the commission to let you know where we were at, to let you know that our clients are dealing with this issue in a very timely way. Just for the record, we do want to clarify, and we had sent a letter to the board last week. There was an issue in terms of our clients receiving the enforcement order. The order was dated May 11th of 2020. They never actually received it until July 8th. I think it was sent to the wrong address. So just to be clear, they did have some notice of it in advance. And as a result of knowing this was coming down the pike, we had discussions with our clients, and they had reached out well before the enforcement order was even issued to retain the engineer so that he could go through and complete an as-built plan, basically to find out what has occurred here. Are there infractions? What wasn't complied with the order of conditions? And Mr. Sadowski has done that. Once we received the order from the board, of course, then we also found out that you were looking for the additional information with the topographical information. And so he went back and very quickly has created 2 plans, which we have submitted just today to the board, which hopefully you have PDFs of. One is a topographical plan, which shows all of that information. And then the other is basically an overlay plan that shows what the as-built of everything that is there as we sit here today, as well as what should have been there based on the original order of conditions and the plan that was approved by the commission. The plan that has the topographical information, which is referred to by title as existing conditions plan with topography. That plan in the upper left-hand corner details the references with reference to the order of conditions in the property, But then starting at number 7 and then going through to 19 has a detailed list of what the infractions are, the things that were done erroneously or not done. So that's where we're at. And so at this point, I don't know if the board, if the commission would like us to go through what those items are. I don't know what your preference is, if you'd like to take time to digest this information. Obviously, we just got this to you today. I don't know what the preference is.
I'd like to see Brandon go through it before we have too much discussion on it. And it usually takes him a week or so to go through it. Personally, that's my personal opinion.
And I would agree with Andy on this one about giving Brandon a week to look through it.
I appreciate that.
Next meeting.
Brandon, you did receive everything just today, but I want to make sure you've got everything right.
I'm looking through my emails here, and I don't see where I did, because I've gone through all my emails. I'm caught up on emails, and I don't see where I got it. So I would appreciate having that forwarded to me.
We transmitted everything to Wanda. I don't believe we included Brandon in that communication.
Wanda, do you have that?
I will check in the morning and I'll see. I know I sent it out to everyone. I don't know why it wasn't received.
Can you tell me, do you have a log as to when that was sent out, so I can maybe search a little closer? I'm looking through all my emails from you. I have them all organized, and I just don't see it.
Can someone check the meeting materials under board business for 290 Putnam Hill Road? It may be in that file.
For board business.
Wanda,
yeah,
the only...
I might have filed it under that.
So I'm looking at it right now on my computer because I downloaded everything, and the only thing I have is the enforcement order in the file itself. Now, I did download this in the early afternoon, so depending on when it was put in the folder, I may not have it.
I'll have to send it out again tomorrow. What I try to do is I save it on the desktop and then I drag it onto the meeting materials. And then
I don't have anything since this morning, other than a couple unrelated emails to this.
I'm checking the drive right now.
And I apologize. I was calling you John because that's what your screen says, but it's Mike, right?
It is Mike. John is the other attorney here in our office, attorney.
Just want to confuse us. That's fine. So, I'm going to make sure if we don't get it, that we get it all from you right away, because we do appreciate you getting on the screen with us and coming in. And as soon as we have it, Brandon's going to review it. He'll send it to us with comments. We'll review it. But we definitely want to work with you and the engineer and both Mr. and Mrs. Raymond to make sure this is all going smooth and get you everything we need. And you get it sounds like you've got us everything we need so far. We just don't have it in front of us.
Yeah, we did deliver hard copies to the town morning as well. So you could have those. And if you need us to transmit something again, or let me know. We'll do that.
Okay.
The other thing is, if you would like to come to the property to go through this, we're happy to set up a time. Once you've had a time to review the.
That might make sense too. I know I wouldn't be opposed to that, because I know a lot of this was not their doing, or none of this was their doing, is my understanding. So it might be helpful to work with everyone.
Bill,
Yes, Mike.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. I think we should, if we do it publicly and set the meeting up now and we meet on site, it might be an easier way to put disclosure and the board to understand. I think we should do it as a board, not just as individuals. If their engineer could be, I don't think we necessarily have to have an attorney there, but if the engineer could meet us there and have the plans and we could go through everything, because I think it's extensive. I know I've spent a lot of time on this already. I've been to the site. I think Brandon's actually at his own expense gone out with GPS equipment. I think without having their engineer weigh in, we had enough evidence to know that there was a lot going on here. Replication that wasn't done, signs in the wrong spot. I think me and Brandon even figured out that the house is in the wrong location, that the driveway's not correct. I mean, these are just a few of the things that come up quick. And I'm very disheartened right now that these people had the expense of an attorney, an engineer, and we're not even able to put up the plan. I think that we need to bend over backwards right now to facilitate this. I know how I would feel as an owner if this was going on, and I would want to know closure. I would want to know where I stand. So I think the one thing we could do is try to meet as soon as possible on site, and I think we would be able to get a good understanding what went on.
Great
Just a
suggestion,
thought.
Mike
I'm
and Zach. I'm
I'm
open
available
to
until Sunday. I'm on vacation after Sunday.
In order for all of you to meet on site at the same time, I have to post it, and it has to be with 48 hours before.
that. So today's Wednesday, we could do Friday or Saturday, right?
You could. I
Saturday
have to
morning works
post
for
it
me.
tomorrow.
Saturday morning works for me as well.
Are you available on Saturday?
Yes.
So Saturday would be good for Dave Sadowski as well.
I need a time.
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock's good.
Anytime on Saturday works for me.
9 o'clock Saturday morning. Does that work for everybody?
Works for me.
And I'll promise you that we'll all have seen a copy of the plans before then, so you have that as well as seeing it physically at the site.
Just a question, Bill. If he has it electronically and could email it to Brandon, it would do two things. It would ensure that our consultant got it. Can we, maybe Brandon could make sure that him and the engineer and the wetland scientist, that this is going directly to Brandon from here on out, just so that this doesn't happen again?
Yes.
I totally agree.
And I
Brandon,
believe
that's
we
okay
do
with you,
have-
right?
It makes things easier.
Okay, perfect.
I also received the plans this morning. I have both sets here. If someone wants to swing by the office tomorrow and pick up one set of the plans, and then you'll have them for Saturday.
When I come out for the other property to sign tomorrow, I'll pick up
Okay.
a copy of the one hard copy as well.
Okay.
Perfect. So I believe we actually, we make a motion to do a site visit on this, right? So I want to do this 100% accurate.
I'll make a motion to schedule a meeting for Saturday morning, 9 o'clock at 290 Putnam Hill.
I'll second it.
So Andy made a motion, Mike seconded. Andy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote? Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill Wentz, vote aye. Thank you all for coming on and your patience here tonight. We will see all or some of you Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. And we'll make sure to contact you if there's anything we need between now and Saturday, so we're all on the same page.
Okay, very
Do you
good.
have any other questions for us? I know this is kind of a little odd doing it via Zoom.
What I'll do is tonight, I'll make sure that when I get back to my office, I'll send Brandon a copy of what I have already sent to Wanda, just to make sure he got it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your help in this.
Have a great night.
Okay.
I think that's everything on the agenda. Wanda, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think you got everything. And tomorrow I will work on the fine. Now, that fine, do you want it to go with another enforcement order or the same enforcement order? I can make copies of the same enforcement order with the, the ticket with the fine. And then I will, I'll have your paperwork for 290 Putnam Hill Road.
I think it's the same enforcement order. I don't think it needs to be an additional, but someone correct me if I'm wrong. Or
Well,
missing
yes,
something.
the last enforcement order says warning on it, so it needs to be changed to $300.
Weekly,
So-
out.
Yep, write a new
Yeah.
ticket. The ticket's different than the enforcement order.
It is
Yeah,
different.
I'll have
Okay.
to write a new one. Okay, and we'll do that.
And
in
it
the
should
morning.
outline that it's the fine per week, not per day.
Right,
And that we'll, if we don't, we'll So once a week we have to do an inspection as well, right?
Yeah, well,
So Wanda,
preferably
will
maybe Wednesday.
So Wanda, you'll track that. You'll let us know. I'll
Mhm.
volunteer to do it, but you have to say, so like every Wednesday from the date of the enforcement until we get rectification, I'll give you an update if it's been, so what am I'm doing an inspection to see if there's any work that's gone on. They
Right.
can't, like, I mean, technically, they can't do anything till they file now. You can't touch that project until they've come in front of the board, and we understand, you know, it's not just take a machine and rip everything out of there. There has to be a restoration plan.
They need to come in.
Right. So when I'm doing an inspection, I guess, Brandon, the question would be for you, what am I looking for?
The 290?
No, we're back on Harback Road.
We're back on Harback. That's an easy one. Everything's over by the street.
No. I'm sorry. So we're gonna do the fine once a week, and Wanda said that an inspection has to occur when you're fining. So if it's once a week, the fine is weekly. So I guess I'll have to say on the following Wednesday that it's still there, but they're not supposed to touch it until they come in front of us, and there's a restoration plan.
Right, they have to come to the commission with a restoration plan, whether it be, an oral presentation or on paper, whatever satisfies the commission before they just start going in there willy-nilly, taking everything out, like you hope they do.
So my question is if I have to do an inspection, do we do an inspection when there's an enforcement order?
Yeah, you have to prove that the violation is still there.
Okay. And if it's not,
that's
then
the way you're doing it anyway.
But this is the double-edged sword. So if I go there and it's all cleaned up, that means it's worse.
Yeah, well,
here's
the other part of it. The other part of it is that they were ordered to come in to the commission with a restoration plan. So until they do that, it really doesn't matter if they cleaned it up or not. They had to come to the commission. So if they don't, then you can continue to fine.
And I guess even if they clean it up, they're still in violation because there'll be no restoration plan, because that's what they're in violation of right now.
Right.
I have one question. If you want them to come to the next meeting, I can put it on at 6:30 and right at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think next meeting at 6:30. The concern is the next meeting, I believe, is 3 weeks from tonight. So
correct.
And I'm on vacation that night as well.
Well, Mike, what if they do reach out to us in the next 3 weeks and they want to clean it up?
I'm going to leave that up to Brandon to answer. I don't feel like I should weigh in on
commission
that.
would have to feel comfortable with my leadership on the direction of the cleanup.
Okay.
I mean, let me just say this is going to be a full NOI. I mean, this isn't an ANRAD. So this isn't going to happen in I can't imagine they have everything filed. For them to be able to clean this up and be in good standings, I mean, I would be willing to suspend the fine if they contact us and let us know what they're up to. You know? I mean, like they said.
Actually, at the moment, there's no requirement to file a notice of intent. There's just a order to come up with a restoration plan and present that to the commission. It's not that you can't still make them file an NOI, but that's not the requirement at the moment.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, they're in the wetland. How do they not file an NOI? Did we not use the right language?
I don't remember filing an NOI being mentioned earlier. It's just that they had to come in with a restoration plan.
But wouldn't the restoration plan so that plan would be an NOI?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. You don't have to have an NOI with an enforcement order. And sometimes it's better to do it through the enforcement order, because with an NOI, they then have 3 years in which to do the work. Whereas an enforcement order, you can stay on them and fine them if they don't do the work. So
this is why I didn't want to weigh in on it. So thank you. Perfect. Just want to do it right and fair.
All right.
If I may, before we change the subject, while we're talking about aggravating things, What's the status on the complaint, the official complaint filed to the planning board regarding 125, 131, and 135 Singletary?
Good question. Have we heard anything from anybody?
I think Wanda would have heard.
I mentioned it to the town planner. Unfortunately, she has not been here. She was only here for a short time Monday. She was not here yesterday or today. I think she'll be here tomorrow. I can check on that.
That's
I don't know if
off the
she sent-
formal complaint that needs to be, at the least, it needs to be sent in the form of an email.
Oh, okay, well, did you send it, was it sent to me by an email?
I'll do it tomorrow. I'll send it to Brandon to review. I'll take care of it.
Okay,
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Any other business, any other discussion on anything?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Mike made the motion, Zach seconded. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Zach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
I
And
Aye.
Andy, and I, Bill Wentz vote aye. See everyone Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.